Let's be real, a track is never 100% finished, but we can at least get it to about 95%. And that's what today's video is about, how we can use automation to get that last 10% out of your track when you think it's finished, but you know that there's something else you can add. So, like the video, comment any questions, and share this with a friend who needs to finish more tracks. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy the video.
Sup, guys? So today I'm gonna just be doing a little, how I like to call the last 10-15% of a track, right? So, this track that I've got with Charlesworth here, let's have a look. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. This track that I've got here with Charlesworth is looking very nice, but we do need the last bits of it. Let's play you the last drop here. Yeah, so as we can see, the track is sounding really nice, but overall the mix isn't there, and I would say it just needs a little bit more automation. I think in terms of what's there, don't need to add anything more. It's just about getting the track moving a little bit and breathing in life with, parameters being adjusted within automation. So in a way, maybe today's a bit more of an automation lesson than it is the final 10-15%, because I'd say the automation is about last 5-10%, but we're going to crack on. So yeah, the track's sounding nice. It just needs a bit of automation. So the first thing I would do, as you can clearly see on my screen, I have everything color coordinated. I can't deal with a messy fucking project. But all my vocals I've got colored yellow. All my low end I've got colored blue. All my drums I've got colored green. All my synths I've got coloured red, and then anything that's effects related, anything that's a bit just in the background and textural, I've got coloured blue. No, not blue, fucking purple. Can tell it's my first time fucking recording a YouTube video like this, innit? But that aside, let's talk what we're gonna do. So the aim of today's session in the studio, really and truly, is to get the last bits of automation done for this track. Because I don't know. Oh, you couldn't even see that before. Sorry. Yeah. So this is what I've got so far. I've got a gain that's making this bass go down. So what that's doing is it's kind of giving the feel that the bass is kind of going away. It's going somewhere, and then it'll come back in on the drop. It sounds really cool in this bit, to be honest. But why does it sound cool? Because we've got another bit of automation going on. Yep, that's right. I've got two other bits of automation. We have got the drum filter, which is basically sweeping down all the high frequencies of the drums, and we have this one here, which is probably the coolest one. So we've got this perky synth here, the clav. That's it by itself, but now all of a sudden we put this on. And it sounds cool now. It sounds like, ooh, bang, ooh, bang. It sounds like there's movement going on. And that is really and truly what you want with automation. Movement, life, energy. You get me? So, that being said, how can we do that in this track? Because already the automation's doing quite a lot, and there's not even a whole lot going on. This one, I'll show you this one as well. Where is she? There we are. So, this is a synth I've got. Very, very subtle, but now when the track drops, if we listen to it with no delay, you can see how it stops being this do 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 do, and it just one hit, bam, and that do 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 do. The delay essentially creates a bit of tension and a bit of what's going to happen next. So, yeah, the aim of today's session, going back to my original point, is to do more of that. But with that being said, we don't want to overdo it because there's already quite a lot going on in terms of these little riders and stuff. They've got these guys. So they're doing a lot of the work already. They already do the tension building, the what's going to happen next, and making people question what's going to happen. Oh, yeah, and then obviously we've got this one. This one's quite standard, though. I didn't even really think I needed to bring this one up. But I will do for all the beginners out there, for the people who don't know what's going on in these house tracks. This is what's going on. Ever hear this? Where's the sub gone? The sub has gone here. Do you know why? Because we've put a filter on it. This filter is on at about, I'd say, 120, and then it comes off. So this is just like a straight up one, but you don't want to do it like this because this is what happens. Now that would be cool if it wasn't the mix, if it was the actual position of the EQ sweeping up. That's not what this is. This is the mix. This is saying, right, go from 0% of this EQ on to 100%, which is essentially the effect we want. Very similar in Ableton, so you can have things on and off. This is exactly what that's doing. So yeah, let's not dilly-dally anymore. Let's get into it. I always start with the low end. What can we do with the low end to automate? I don't think there's anything. This is a pretty typical staple of my tracks, is have the bass come down in bits where it's soloed. So fine, let's move on. Drums. What could we do with the drums to actually make it breathe a bit more life? Let's have a look. I think that section's fine. I think there's already a lot going on. There's already a lot of like things being introduced in this section. I think adding any automation would clutter it. So let's look at sections that are a bit more empty. So this little synth here, what can we do here? I reckon we add a delay. So let's go and add a delay. Am I able to show you like this bit of the screen actually? Wait, one sec. Let me just get up the other bit of the screen. Apologies, you lot. I'm still getting used to this bloody OBS stuff. But let's figure it out. So if we have got, where is she? Put a little delay on it. Let's try, you know what, I'm gonna go with the stock filters just to make life easy for people, because I know fully well not everyone's got the privilege of having these nice plugins. So let's not get rid of my face for a start. So that's pretty cool in the context of the track. So that's pretty cool. So this is what I would do now. I would get up, so on the actual channel itself. Oh, why can I not see that? Hold on. Oh, there we go. So I have clicked on the delay and it is showing me this. So the things I really want to be bothered about with the delay are delay model, delay time, feedback level, cutoff, and output. I know that's like about 5 things, But the rest of it, you don't really want to be too bothered about. I like to mess with this a little bit, but other than that, I don't want to overcomplicate it. So I like the delay time. Let's see what happens if we adjust the delay time. Which, I mean, it's not the worst, but I do prefer that because it keeps it a bit more on the grid. And I just want that effect for this track. And then we've got the ping pong on so that it can go left and right. But it's not going to turn on unless you do this pan thing. See what I mean? Going left and right. And then the feedback. So really and truly, as a rule of thumb, this is what's going to build our tension, the feedback. And this is more so how much of the delay we want to hear. So let's put that into context really, really quickly. So we have both the delay feedback and the delay output. I'm going to colour them both green. Make sure you keep your projects tidy, people. I see a lot of FL users out there not keeping the projects tidy. Keep them fucking tidy. Because there's nothing worse than a project that's just not nice to look at visually, in my opinion. So yeah. Hold on. What were you doing? Oh, fuck knows why those two there. So, as I said before, feedback, tension, output, how much we want to hear. So I'm going to put it at about 50%. Let's have a look. Yeah. That's about 50 is there. And we can have the feedback going up. So let's actually see where it is. So it's quite interesting. There's one there, there's one there. So if we have the feedback sort of 50% there and about 28% there, and then have this continuously go up. Let's hear how that sounds. I do want a little bit more feedback, so I'm going to put that to about 50 and then turn this one up to about 70. Now, that was a very subtle change, and I probably took a little bit too long explaining that. But it's these little changes that do really bring your track to life. And I think that change there has now brought a bit more life into that section that was quite static. So yeah, moving on from that, we can have a look at the other drums, see in other sections. So I was debating the conga bounce. Do we add a reverb? So let's try and mess around with that. So where is the congas? Here. So let's make a conga bus for a sec. Pretty cool feature that, by the way, if you didn't know it. Dock to the right, dock to the left. It means you don't have to go back and forth between your channels. But yeah, conga bounce, conga one. Them two. We're gonna route them to that channel so that they're only coming out of there. And let's put a reverb on it. And then the reverb we will automate within the track. So it's only this section really that we want it to have the reverb. We could maybe try it in other sections, but let's hear how this sounds. It's not the worst. I think the only thing is it does clutter up the mix in the low mids just a little bit. So let's go back on the reverb and let's adjust this. So the low cut at about 300, because I know that those congas sit at about 200 to 350, 390. And if I'm just going to cut that off, then there is not going to be any reverb. But I do want to chop off like the 200 bit. So let's just solo these congas and hear what it sounds like. So it's a nice effect. I'm happy with that. Let's see if in other sections of the track we can get this doing what it needs to do. So when it first comes in the track. What you wanna do? So this little bit here, similarly to how the vocal does it, we can do it here. Not the worst. Don't mind it. Don't mind it. Let's do it a bit later on in the track as well. Yeah, see, this bit of the track's a little bit static, so maybe it would be nice to do this. See, now it feels a little bit like there's a bit of movement in this section. So now that we've highlighted, all right, this section's a little bit stale at some bits, what can we do? What have we already got? Let's maybe think, what is there here that we can add to rather than just trying to add new stuff? So the crowd ain't moving synth, which is not the crowd ain't moving synth anymore. We can try this with it. So let's just play around and let's just see what happens. So we know that it ends at about there. Put your automation just a little bit over. Put that one there. And I'm going to sort of do that same sweep almost. Try and match what the congas were doing. Bit of movement now. Bit of movement. Liking it. Let's see. So I'm happy with that bit, the first half of that phrase. Now let's look at the second half of the phrase. Yeah, okay. So going back to what we had before, we could maybe mess around with the feedback and output here. So yeah, I think it's probably better if we let this creep up to this bit here, if that makes sense. Hopefully that does make sense and it's not just gibberish coming out of my mouth. So yeah, feedback, we've got to go it to about 79. No, not 79, 71. And the output, we will just have it go up, follow that, but then tail off so that it doesn't just end abruptly. So let's listen. Okay, maybe a little bit more there. Yeah, see how it ends really abruptly there. That's because the feedback is also down. So you want to make sure that these things kind of tail off rather than just ending abruptly. Obviously, if you want that effect, more than welcome to do it, but we don't want that here. kind of fades out nicely. That's what automation is really good for as well, is tying sections together, or phrases. I like to call them phrases. I think that's a DJing thing, having different phrases of a song. So I would say we've got 4 phrases in this end bit here, and we are trying to tie the 3rd phrase and the 4th phrase together. So how have we done that? By having this automation kind of cross over from one phrase to another, and it's resulted in the delay kind of going over the mark. So it doesn't feel as blocky. It kind of just feels like one big phrase rather than 2 separate phrases, clearly with a line in the middle. Do you get me? Other than that, let's really take a look at the rest of the drums, because I don't actually think we do need it anywhere else, to be honest. Yeah, I was going to say these guys here, but it's already got a bit of delay on it, and I think it's only in sections that are already quite busy. So I genuinely don't think it is needed. Let's try here, actually. No. So I think drums wise it's alright. Synths wise, how many synths have we actually got going on in the track? Let's have a look. Not really that many, to be honest. Yeah, that one. Yeah, there's only about 3, and 2 of them we've already got automating. And one of them is just, it's not even technically a synth, it's a part of the bass samples. So I think that's fine too. I could automate some of the bass samples, but I don't want to, because I don't want this track to be too bright. I want to keep it quite dark. And I think if I'm automating stuff like the cutoff, it's going to make the track really bright and happy, but we don't want that. We want it to be dark and deep, because that's the vibe of the track, really, isn't it? So I think the vocals already have automation on it, because this is from a track that I did called Heads Up. Let me show you. So I did a track called Heads Up in 2022, and it did, downloads wise, did well. Ben Sterling downloaded it, but I never got a video of it being played. But that's not the point. The point is, there's already a lot of reverb and delay on this stuff, so we don't really need to add anything to that. I think at this stage, really, we could probably just see what the bass samples are doing, and if there's any sort of reverb or delay we can add to these bass samples. And I think, personally, just reverb. I think if we're going to add some delay, it's going to, again, clutter up that mid-range and really just make it difficult to mix. So I already know which one I want to do it to. I want to do it to the main one, which is this one. So let's go on it now. No, not that one. This one. Nice. So let's put a reverb on it. Apologies, I'm not showing you the screen. Yeah, so there, we've got fruity reverb. Keep things nice and simple. There we go. So the reverb on its own is quite nice. I might make the reverb 50% mono, because I don't want it to take up too much headroom. And I'm going to put the... Again, as we said before, we don't want too much of the lows taken away, but we also don't want too much lows. So low cut about 300 hertz, around there. The size, just a tiny bit of pre-delay, just a little bit to create a bit of separation. And the decay time I'll put to about 3, because this is going to be more of an effects sort of reverb rather than a reverb to give it room. So this is more of a production decision rather than a mixing decision. So sections of the song where the bass is in here. Let's just automate it up, just straight up, and let's just see what happens. Yeah, so it's a little bit getting in the way, isn't it? So I would turn down the wet, and I would get back onto the reverb and low cut some more solo it so we actually know what's going on. Let me turn that down. So yeah, it creates a bit of space and a bit of tension within that element, because obviously it's probably the second most important element in the track, because without that the track doesn't have the same vibe. So adding a lot of automation to that element would really make the track feel like it's moving. So with that being said, I'm happy with that bit. I don't think I should overdo that. If anything, I might take that down to about 50. And then, yeah, let's go on to this last bit. Yeah, so there's not really a whole lot of reverb in this section here, so we can afford to crank up the reverb on this one here. If anything, I'm going to be a bit extreme. It's getting in the way a little bit though, innit? So, let's do another automation for the dry. Now, this is a very important automation tip in FL Studio. I want to make sure that the top of this this sort of bracket, if you will, for the automation is always at this value here. So this is like 100% volume, 0 decibels. So I want to copy that and paste it at the max. So now the new 100% becomes that value, as opposed to it could have gone up to 125 instead. So that's a very important tip for FL Studio users, because without that, you then risk with it. Like, if you're not keeping it in mind and you're constantly having to copy value, paste value, you can just do that instead, and it just makes your life a whole lot easier. So now this essentially functions as a gain. So essentially this now functions as a gain knob for our Fem Basso synth. So now when that comes in, that new variation of that bass layer, it has a bit more impact, because here you're like, what's happened to it? Why does it sound washed out and faded? Yeah, I'm liking that. And I think now the last few bits is just to get this rising again. Probably keep the dry there and just have it rise. Yeah, so if anything, I get rid of it there. So we only want to focus on this bit. Yeah. Last one, we will probably just really go crazy with the feedback on this one. Actually, I've just remembered that this kind of comes on here, so if anything, it's probably pointless doing that. That's probably why I've not done that before, because you can't really hear it. So yeah, guys, I think I would call this track ready to mix now. I actually don't think there's anything else that needs doing. It's got all the elements. It's got a nice bit of automation creating movement. It's got a good hook. It's got a good low end. It's got a powerful kick. And it's got drums that don't feel empty when you take certain elements out. Obviously, certain bits in your track you do want to be empty. You don't want to just ram your track with automation and effects and all that stuff. But it is good to have bits of empty, bits of full. Contrast, if you will. But yeah, guys, that's the video. That was my first time ever doing these kind of videos, like proper tutorials. So forgive me if it's very long-winded and, you feel like you've not got that much out the video. But I promise you, if you go and right now, open FL Studio, go and implement what I've done on a track you've already got. And I promise you, that is a skill that will take your productions up to the next level. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, please give it a like. Please subscribe. Please bloody share it, because I'm trying to make some money from this music shit. As you know, if you follow my TikTok, you'll know broke beats. I'm broke out here. I need some money. But yeah, if you guys do want one-to-ones, you want me to do any mix downs for you, you want a group of track feedback, I've got some services that can really help. Just drop me a DM on Instagram. Link should be down below. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Till next time.